Love letters, Ross.
Hey,
Is
Jono.
this why we've got this this elevator music in the background that's all sort of
No.
smooth and
It's
romantic?
not elevator music. It's not
What
elevator
is it?
music. Let me see what you call this. Hold on just a second. It's called chill hop. I mean, that's just
Okay.
the. I just thought it would set the tone. Just
Do we
kind
need
of.
some candlelight? Do we need candlelight? Is that what we need?
I don't know. I mean, I'm up for it. Let me pop open the chat here.
Pop open the chat because we're a little bit late.
Yep,
I'm a little bit late. My
it's
apologies.
okay.
And I'm waiting to see people.
Oh
Where
yeah,
are
they're
people?
they're in the chat. They're in the chat. You should see it pretty soon.
Okay.
I'm looking at the chat. If you can't see it, then I can see it and I can keep us up because
Oh,
I've
no,
asked for it.
Marlene just said good day. There, she's given us the candlelight. There we go. All right. Thank you, Marlene.
Nice.
All right.
So I told them, Jono,
Set the
that
mood.
we do want some audience participation. We're going to need that because there are times when sometimes people say I love you, but for some people it's hard for them to show it, or maybe they don't share that. And there's sometimes where you just need the love, and maybe I hadn't been feeling it. So
There are some. Well, you more than me have received some interesting letters or correspondence. Let's say some comments
yep,
of late that we feel it is necessary to address. And before we
that's
do
right.
that, Ross,
Yep.
I want to revisit a couple of things, if I may, just to sort of set the stage. Can I do that?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. When we actually, you know what? Let's do it this way. Let me grab my Moses scroll
Okay.
because I do have that right here, buried under a bunch of papers and books, as is the mess of my study here. And I want to go back, and I know we've already done this recently, but I do want to read from the first commandment as it appears in the Moses scroll.
Okay.
Because it says, I am Elohim, your Elohim,
Yeah.
who liberated you from the land of Egypt, from the house of servitude. There shall not be to you, rather,
Yeah.
other Elohim. You shall not make for yourselves a carved image, carved thing, or any formed thing which is in the heavens above or which is on the earth below. Don't be making them.
Yeah.
Don't make those things. You shall not bow down to them. Don't bow down to those things. Don't make them and then bow down to them. That's a thing you will not do. And you shall not serve them. I am Elohim, your Elohim. Ani Elohim Eloheka. So it's pretty straightforward, Ross. Don't make, don't carve a thing, don't form a thing which you will then bow down to and serve. That's the thing you will not do.
Right.
It's pretty simple. Now we're going to a place. In fact, most places on earth are like this, where almost wherever you go, there is a thing, a carved thing, a formed thing that people bow down to and serve, right?
Yep.
And Egypt is certainly one of those places where, at least in ancient history, it was very, very commonplace to have idols of some description, to which they made them, and with incredible craftsmanship did they make them, Ross. And we're going to see some of those
Representations. You mean representations
representations.
of God or whatever?
Various gods that they attributed various powers, powers beyond our human control. The sun, for example, the harvest, the rain, the storms, all of these things they attributed to higher beings, if you like, and they would make representations of those beings as they imagined them, and they would bow down to and worship and serve them. We're going to Egypt. We'll be there starting on the 1st of October for the first time on the Tanakh tour. And we're going to see a lot of this stuff. And a lot of this stuff, the people of Israel would have been very familiar. I'm not saying necessarily that they would have and maybe they did engage in
Yeah.
various, in fact, no doubt really they probably engaged in various forms of idol worship. But Elohim liberates them from Egypt. And he says, listen, I understand that you attribute this to what you call, this God, and you attribute this to what you call it. But let me tell you, I am the gods. I am Elohim. I am those powers. Everything that you attribute these, that is me. I am all of it, and I created all the things. And this is
Wait,
why I believe. Yeah.
I'm going to jump in real quick because I want people to know they're expecting a love letter. And I don't know if they know that you're leading up
I'm
to
leading up to.
one of the love letters because they
I'm setting
think
the
you're just
stage.
okay. Well, the mood, you're setting the mood is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I'm not much of a mood setter, but I'm definitely
Well, that's
setting the
obvious,
stage.
Jono. That's obvious. Anyone who's listening in knows that now. But go ahead.
Now listen. And this is what Elohim does. He says, and this is why I believe the Shabbat is the second commandment in the Moses scroll, because he says not only don't you worship other gods and attribute to them other things. Don't you make them and bow down to them and serve them.
Yeah.
I made all of the things in 6 days, and I ceased on the seventh, and therefore you will cease on the seventh. And those two commandments certainly go together to establish a monotheistic view. All right. So, as I mentioned, on the Tanakh tour, we are going to go to Egypt. We're going to see some of these very, very ancient formed things and carved things, which they did bow down to and they did serve.
And 1 second, Jono, and I have in this library, and I know that you have extensive books in your library that have also pictures and photographs of some of these
Oh, absolutely.
representations. On the
In
shelf
fact,
behind me, I have
on the
quite a
shelf
bit
behind
of.
you and on the shelf in front of me
Yep.
is the this is a Christian Bible, a Zondervan
That's right.
Christian Bible. This is the Archaeological Study Bible, and no doubt there would be photos. This is really quite a good. There would be photos of some of the carved things and so on and so forth that they used to worship.
Yeah.
For the sake of context, here's one. Oh, the godlike god Pan from Gaul. Gaul. Let me have a look at this guy.
Okay.
He's
Yeah,
really
that's
good
right.
at that. Yeah, there we go.
Now that is in a Bible, Jono?
That's in a Bible. Well, this is a Christian Bible, but this is in Leviticus. They've put this study note here: goat demons and so on and so forth. And it's totally within the context of learning about the context and the history thereof. It's not obviously.
Yeah.
And this is my point. It's not within the context of bowing down and worshiping. It's in the context of learning and understanding the time in history, the point of history in which this is understood to be written or written about.
Exactly.
So that's important to establish. It's not saying, a lot of people will say, oh, if I can't make a carved thing or does that mean that my little girl can't play with a Barbie doll or whatever it might be, right?
Right.
And I think the answer is clearly no, that's not what it's talking about, unless she's planning on bowing down to Barbie and serving her, which,
Right.
we could talk about that one day. But so this is, I think, the fair context in which this is the stage that I set, Ross. Now, when we do...
Yeah. Go ahead. I just want to build on your stage whenever you're done. No, go ahead and build it. I'm ready. I'm listening.
When we do go on the Tanakh tour, Ross, we're going to talk about things like the winged cherubim on either side of the ark as it is presented in the book of Exodus. Not the box that Moses made as is presented in the book of Deuteronomy, but and maybe we'll talk a little bit about that today. We're going to talk about, of course, the other example is the serpent on the stake. Serpent, the snake on the pole. Blah.
Yep. Snake on the stake. Snake on the stake is a good way to put it.
Snake on the stake. And the reason why we talk about that is because when we get to Mount Nebo, nearing the end of our trip in Jordan, coming out of Egypt, we'll go through Jordan. They the area that we will go to, which is what now? It's a church or a monastery, or I don't know what that is. But the lookout anyway is controlled by a Christian institution, and right at the end of Nebo is this massive sculpture, huge, which is the pole with the snake on it, right?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that, because what happened to that? Hezekiah said, you know what, you guys are worshiping this thing. I'm going to smash it into pieces, which he does. The context. See, once you start to, you make a thing and then you start bowing down to it and you serve it, well, that becomes the problem, right? You're breaking that particular commandment. Now, we did talk about in recent programs a whole series on the commandments, and it was great, going through the ancient sources even more ancient than that which our Bibles are based on, and Dead Sea Scrolls and whatnot, and going through all the different commandments. And it was enlightened. Now I've lost my train of thought. Okay, it's your turn, Ross. I was going somewhere.
Okay, no, that's
There'll
fine.
be another train soon.
But let me ask you though, at any point, and I'm going to bring two sides to this, because we did receive not just a love letter that you're setting the stage for, but several. But do you need to go now with this comment before you forget it?
I'm back. Yeah.
All
So has a sip of my tea. All right. So we went through all of those, and then we found out, once we thought we had finished with the 10 Commandments, that there was an approved abridged version of the 10 Commandments that is represented in the States, in schools, in halls, and in courtrooms, and so on and so forth. And that was, what was that called again? Federation of
the Fellowship of the Eagles, or the something of
like
the Eagles, yeah.
And we were going through those to see, how do these compare? How is it abridged? Is it fair? Is it, And in the end, we kind of thought, this is not so bad. If you had to have, at least representing that which is represented in Deuteronomy and Exodus, if you had to have an abridged version that you could just, present to the people on the wall of these kind of institutions, it's not that bad. However, Ross,
wait, before you do, let me
right.
pull that up, because I do have the photograph that we put on the screen.
Dave said the Fellowship of Eagles. Yeah,
Fellowship,
you got the photo. Yeah, bring that up.
I have it here.
Bring it up, because now the stage is set.
Here it comes. Okay, so here it is. And we put this on the screen a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about the Fellowship of Eagles version of the 10 Commandments, because the state of Texas is putting into play a rule, a law that now it hasn't passed yet, but ultimately that this version, and only this version, this is part of this law in Texas, that it would be put forward in schools and so forth. So that we went through this in great detail, did we not?
We went through it in detail. Not only did we go through it in detail, but by the end of it, we thought, okay, so it's not the Moses Scroll 10 words. It's very, very close, like Deuteronomy and Exodus, very, very close. And it's certainly not, we concluded it would be more beneficial than detrimental. That sure, why not have this? I mean, to close this sort of thing down would only be detrimental, I think. However, we neglected to make a particular observation and our position on that observation, and someone was very, very keen to highlight that.
I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to highlight it for our audience. So when we talked about it, we looked at what is on the screen now, but this viewer very astutely observed something and felt like we should have brought this up. So we're going to now,
with much zeal. To be fair, with much zeal.
That's right.
Ross.
That's right. So if you take your eyes, Jono, and you lift your eyes, as is off the description in the Bible for what you would do with idols. If you would lift your eyes, here's what you now see.
Oh, there it is.
That is on the top of this version of the 10 words, Jono.
Mm-hmm.
That thing.
There it is. Like a poke in the eye, Ross. Now, we knew it was there, but we didn't really care. That's not the focus of our
Right.
of the discussion that we were having. The focus of the discussion we were having was the contents of Daniel's like, oh my goodness.
Yep.
Yeah, no. And it's on the dollar
Now,
bill. That's right, Dave. It's on the US dollar bill. So this individual doesn't use, I guess, only uses coins.
I don't know. I don't know.
Must, surely, because this individual was very, very zealous about the fact that we didn't highlight that was there, and what a horrible, terrible thing. In fact, they were really quite disturbed that we were that we came away from this particular abridged version of the 10 words with a tick of approval, pretty much, as far as the
Yep.
content was concerned. Now, what we're not giving a tick of approval of, right? There's also a Star of David there. There's a representation of the 2 tablets. Did it look like that? We don't know. There's an eagle. What's down below there? What is written? We were talking about the flags, and Dave clarified
I don't know,
something about the
I don't
flags
know,
for us.
Jono. I don't know what the scroll says, but now I'm a little gun shy. Maybe I ought to zoom that in and see what
Zoom
that's
in.
good.
What's between the wings of the? Because we're going to get ourselves into more trouble if we don't scrutinize every single detail of this thing.
Well, maybe someone
Illuminati
else will
says,
zoom.
yes. So
Yeah.
this is the thing. So here is the question, Ross. The question is, what is that eyeball in the triangle? Because we do see it, as Dave says. Yeah, Dave pointed out last time that was the flag of the British Navy down there on the. And what is the eye that we see on the US dollar bills that we see here? And in various other places, even in architecture, we often see it. What is that eye?
Well, first of all, let me go ahead and pull this horrid picture down.
Okay.
Okay. So first of all, I'm not an expert on symbology. We do know if you look up, for instance, if you look up all-seeing eye, which is one of the terms that's typically used to
That's the
describe
first one that comes to my mind. Yeah.
that's what I looked up today.
Mhm.
And you'll find all sorts of things. You'll find from conspiracy theories to ultimately what most of these do is trace this back to, as you started off in your wonderful introduction, to Egypt. And, I tell you, there is a connection there with because all of the versions, whether ancient or modern, the all-seeing eye, regardless of what it's called, the Eye of Horus or Isis or whoever it's attributed to, they
The
all
rival it is.
pretty much point to uh, the representation of God, meaning that God is looking over all of creation. Now, it's not just in this version that we see on this 10 words from the Fellowship of the Eagles, but we see it in Judaism, not just Christianity or conspiracy theories or fraternities, but we also see it with the Hamsa. You know, you ever see
which one?
the Judaism thing? Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And a lot of those have the eyeball too. So mystic Jews,
Well,
Christians.
it's a trinket, if you like, or an amulet to ward off the evil eye.
That's right.
The hamsa. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people go, "Oh, it's nice and Jewish, and I'll put that in my home." But actually, it is kind of a form of idolatry. It's a form of superstition
Right.
that I certainly wouldn't put in my home. But um, yeah, I guess there's various forms of this, and it is interesting. What else did you find out?
Well, the main thing I just wanted to look and see. Now, this person, let me go ahead and get to this, because the point of this that we're doing tonight, love letters, we have received a lot of very positive feedback, and we've received some negative. Well, love isn't always romantic. I mean, sometimes a relationship has ups and downs. Sometimes, it's very romantic. Sometimes not so much. And in our relationships that we build with people, we want to assume, I think, that most people know us. So I don't know. I'm not getting off the question. I want to build. Now I'm going to build up.
Go on.
I want to think that most people who know Ross and Jono would hopefully know that we are not advising people to pray to an artistic depiction of an eyeball representing God in any way. In fact, if anything, we're iconoclast and we destroy all sorts of idols with everything that we've done together since 2014.
Certainly.
But someone recently who we befriended, I certainly befriended, someone listened to a couple of the classes that I taught and called me up. And I took the time and I got to know this person and I really like this person. So first of all, I want you to know that this isn't making fun of someone. It is a response though, but it's also a response to say, come on, really? Now, is this person listening right now? Let me tell you what happened. So I've answered this person's phone call several times. We've become friends. This person, I'm very thankful that they joined the Patreon and actually began to support, financially support what I'm doing. So I appreciate all that. Well, last Friday, the Friday after we did this discussion, this person called me out of the blue. Now, I rarely answer the phone on Friday because generally I'm in my lesson prep mode. I mean, if my wife or a family member or someone I'm working directly with, but I really had begun to trust and value this person's input. This person called and immediately
because this person very, very clearly is an individual who clearly loves God and wants to do the right thing. And something that we both admire about the individual, and it's grand. It's grand. Go ahead.
And because that's the kind of person that I befriend and that I feel comfortable with. Otherwise, I mean, I don't have very many friends, honestly. So my only friends are people who I think love God, and this person is one of those people. But the way that this person approached me was very, I could tell they were upset as soon as I picked up the phone. And ultimately the person said that I should know better than to put this on a screen, that I should know better than to tell people anything while this is on the screen. Because this is, the person told me, said, I think you know what it is. And I said, well, so and so, what do you think that I should do? Because this person was upset. And the answer was, take it down, the video that we made, and publicly apologize because you and I were in the wrong because we didn't point out. I guess, you know, we live in a society where you have to tell people to not eat Tide Pods and not, you know, we should have said, don't worship this.
We do live in a society of people eating Tide Pods. Actually, we're past that phase and it's much worse now. But yes, this is the world in which we live. Yeah, and we didn't do that, Ross. We didn't give all the caveats and explain, oh, by the way, there's this imagery here and there's this imagery here. In fact, I remember seeing one version of this particular list, this abridged version of the 10 words. And there, I think at the bottom of it, there were 2 stars of David, and in the middle was a cross. I don't know if we put that on the screen as well, but that was a different one. And of course, the cross we would view as a form of idolatry as well. We don't have to explain that to everybody because everybody knows where our position is on that, especially.
Again, I want to stress that I get the point I get the person's zeal. I really do. Uh, but it was just it would be like if I called you, someone that I consider a friend, and my immediate thing was to assume that you had sinister intentions. See, in the world in which we live, communications break down, relationship. Jono, this is all about love. We should not hate our brother in our heart. We should love one another. We should love our neighbor as ourselves. We should love the stranger. Love, love is all you need. You know the song. But for a person to assume ill intent, now it gets worse, because not only did this person basically demand that I pull this down, well, it was really an ultimatum, and it wasn't delivered hatefully, very stern, very, you will do this, basically, or else. What is or else? Well, the person did as their right should be. They said, I can't support you anymore. So, but rather than just leave, here's the note that the person said.
Oh, here we
They,
go.
yeah, this is a love letter I got from
Okay.
Patreon. So people who join Patreon to support my research, I depend on that to support my family. I mean, everything I do for free. I don't want anyone to feel they have to pay. But the way that I support my family and pay my bills is through the generous support of people. So this person writes this in Patreon, which can disqualify me. Here's what they say. Not only did they get off of my Patreon, and they could have just said, they could have given a reason, whatever, but here's the reason. I didn't like the benefits rewards that I received from Ross K. Nichols. Now that means that what I have stated that I would provide people who support my service, he's telling Patreon that I did not meet that expectation, and so this could cause problems. And I thought, wow.
Yep.
So I went immediately to send a note on Facebook because this is the way this person and I usually communicate, Facebook Messenger. And so I started to write a message, only to find out I've been blocked.
Wow.
Now, there's more to the story, and there are a couple of other things this person did, but I think you get the point. Here's my message. If this person probably would never listen to me because I'm so horrible, because I would post something like this on the screen without the warning. But I just want everyone to know, please, for the love of God, don't pray to this. Don't worship it.
Don't bow down to it. Don't serve
bow
it.
down to it. That's right. Because this could be
Don't make one.
considered something very bad.
Mm.
Now, my bottom line on that one is I do get, and let me just say this, I get a lot of communication, and you get the good with the bad. Sometimes you get some very lovely comments, some very nice comments, and some people appreciate that we are here to teach with no strings attached. So, for instance, one of the things that you and I will do often, we're not teaching as a lot of our friends, some that are religious Christians or religious Jews. We're giving people as close to we can to the source. Would you agree?
That's our
Like
goal.
you said, yeah, we're gonna take people and really show them. So if ever we do something for instructional purposes, here's what friends do. You assume the innocence. Like it wasn't intentional that we posted this photograph thinking the way this person was thinking. Now, having said that, if I teach a class on Baal, you know that I might put a picture of a statue of Baal on the screen in the future.
Yeah.
I just want people to understand that. Look, Jeffrey says love can be difficult. It can be,
Yeah.
but
That's right.
it all goes back to we're having a little bit of fun, but we're being serious in this sense. Let's assume in a relationship the best from someone.
Hmm.
I mean, wouldn't you think that would be fair?
I think it's called Hamlin's razor. Maybe someone could look that up. Hamlin's razor, that says, "First attribute to stupidity that which otherwise would be attributed to malice." And not that we necessarily did anything stupid, but this individual may consider, that we didn't point out the all-seeing eye and denounce it as something that was stupid. But certainly consider that first as a plausible explanation before you assume that we had malicious intent and we just wanted to sort of slip in the all-seeing eye there and hope that people would start worshiping it, or
Yeah.
whatever it was that this individual thought was our crime. So yeah,
Can I give you? Can I shift gears? First of all, if this person is listening, understand that I extend my hand because I don't like to have enemies. I do have enemies, but I don't like to have any. I like when I can have good relationships with people, uh, and but that relationship has to be mutually beneficial. I have enough people in my life that send me hate mail. Believe it or not, I do get that. And, normally it doesn't really bother me. But though, Jono, because a lot of times I'll share with you, man, these comments actually get to me. And what's your view on that? Do they bother you when we're
You're
different? We
you're
are different.
you're a lot kinder than I am, and you're a lot more patient than I am, and I would absolutely go to town with this sort of stuff and and really really go hard. But you're a lot more patient, and this is the thing I love about you is that you prefer to have open communication. Don't burn a bridge if you don't have to burn it. Have communication open for the sake of clarity, and you and I have that in common. Is if you and I disagree, we'll be like, okay, hey, let's slow down here and just see where we're disconnecting, because somewhere here there's a disconnection, and we will aim for clarity. We don't have to agree,
That's
but we
right.
do have to. We want to end the conversation at least understanding where each other are coming from. So you need that open communication for the sake of clarity, and clarity is what we want. When
That's
you
right.
get blocked and all that sort of I mean, I would even say for someone to report you on Patreon in such a way has malicious intent, and that's the sort of stuff we want to avoid. That's just
Yeah.
And so this video, in the hope that the individual is watching, is to say, hey, listen, let's start again. Let's open the communication and let's get some clarity and understand where each other are coming from, and understand that we're not coming from a place a place of malicious intent. We just assume that everybody here watching
Yeah.
understands that we are not intending that you should make an all-seeing eye and bow down to it and worship it and so on and so forth, nor do we. Um, we're not condoning all of the things on that page.
Right.
But again, as an abridged version of the 10 words, I'd rather have that up on a wall than
Right.
I can think of a
I
lot of
get you.
things, but I don't want to start more
Yeah,
more hate.
no. But let me just say, and this is one of the things that I want to make sure that because we're taking time to address this issue because we think it's important. We're being a little silly. Seth designed us this beautiful graphic that I thought was hilarious to lead us into this, because
Looks
I
like
mean, look at this.
we're about to come out of the closet, Ross.
That's
We're
right.
letting everyone know.
That's right. But I think this is incredible. But again, the point is I want to make sure that people understand this is not, I'm not saying that I won't do this again. In other words, if I put an all-seeing eye on the screen as part of what I'm saying, or if I put a statue of Baal, or look, I have behind me this book by, well, that's not it. I was going to say this one, From the Stone Age to Christianity by Albright. I can flip through any number of these books and I can pull up. I read Biblical Archaeology Review. You realize that at times they have idols. I mean, I'm not going to assume, like if when I thumb through Biblical Archaeology Review, it has never crossed my mind to be sickened or angry because there is an idol in that book. Anyway,
Listen, last time,
Yep.
you and I were in, and Dave and Patty, we were in Israel, and we spent considerable time looking for idols, did we not? Moabite idols that we specifically wanted to see, and we found
That's
some of
right.
those specific idols in what is that house?
The
In
Tico
House.
house.
Tico House.
Yep.
We found some there, and we found some at the American Colony. Thanks to Dave who put us up there, and that was fascinating. And there were reasons, very sexy idols, Dave said.
Right. We're not showing, I am not showing those on the screen tonight, I assure you.
Some of those we're not going to show, purely because of their R-rated content. The Moabitica, that's right, Dave. Oh my goodness, some of them were funny. But I tell you what, we're going to take people to the Israel Museum, and they're going to see, some of the incredible array of idols that archaeologists have uncovered.
And before we go
read about
in,
those.
Yep. I was
You
going
read
to
about
say,
them in your
before
Tanakh.
we
Go
go
ahead.
in, we're going to tell people this is only for instructional purposes. Please don't worship anything that your eyes
Jimmy,
see.
what are you
while
doing
we're
on the
walking
ground,
around.
bowing down to them? Get up, get up. This is not why I brought you here.
That's right. Look,
never
but I have
happens.
another. And then just because I say, I brought that up. You and I are different, obviously, but we have a good friendship, and we think different, and that helps us. I think in a lot of ways. I think you have helped me in a lot of ways, because sometimes this does get to me. Like when I look at the YouTube comments, I sometimes take it personally, and I read it and I think, wow, that was mean. Why would someone say that? And look, it's not that I can't handle constructive criticism. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about when people assume that I have a sinister intent. Here's an example. Now, can I read one more bits and pieces of it?
Go for it.
Oh, these things come in all the time. Listen to the way this starts.
Okay, go.
Now, look, this is classic. Someone has been to training. They know that you start off with something nice and then you punch them in the gut. Okay, so listen to this. You ready?
Yeah.
You are so eloquent.
Wait,
right?
There you go. Like
Look, I like, you are so eloquent
to
to me. Yes, indeed. Engaging and insightful. You are so eloquent, engaging, and insightful.
Oh, well.
You are such an intelligent man,
Oi.
and so steeped and versed in the scriptures.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Like this
Okay.
so far.
Boy, look,
Yeah.
my head's getting big. This is what I this is what I live for. What I live for. I am
so far. This one belongs up on the wall. Yeah, keep going.
But it says, I am so sorry. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. The tone just changed.
You made an oath. Now, I'm not going to read it all. I'm going to hit the points. This person thinks I made an oath, though I don't know where they would have seen that I made the oath. I guess they think I did. And you made an oath to follow, and you didn't follow. You're not following. You of all people. This is the same writer. Now, I'm good at determining different authors, but this is the same person. You of all people know what it is to make an oath, and yet you are knowingly breaking your oath, an oath to and before God Almighty. What are you thinking?
This is a perfect example of assuming malice before anything else. You assume you had intent. You knowingly did these things. Okay, keep going.
Gets worse. You are as bad as Tovia Singer. Now, come on. There's no way I'm as bad as Tovia.
It's Tovia.
I
That
mean,
reminds
really?
me, I got to contact Tovia.
Well,
Yeah,
tell him,
you're as bad as Tovia.
I'm as
Okay.
bad. Anyway, so this person hates
Making a note.
Tovia too. They saw Tovia make an oath to Almighty God. Tovia thinks he can laugh it off. He's going to be in trouble too. Here we go. God will require your oath too. Talking to me, back to me. Now, okay, wait. Same writer. I assume, unless this is a test, maybe it is different authors. You ready? Author number 2, right? This is Jekyll and Hyde here. I so enjoy your Tanakh teachings. That's the next line, Jono.
Right.
I've watched them for years.
Hey.
It so pains me to hear you say something like this thing that really got them upset. All right. I'm not going to get into all that.
You're not going to tell us the thing?
No, I can't. I can't. It's something different. Well, first of all, I didn't say it, but it's something I don't want to get into. Look, this person has been studying longer than me. They know more than I do, and they're still, by the way, the part of the problem is this person is a Christian. So they don't agree with something I said on probably the Following Jesus, I assume, that Following Jesus class. So this person's really, really hurt. Now, here we go. Think long and hard. Here's a person ordering me around about the oath you are rejecting and denouncing. It's not going to go well with you. And it's going to be much worse for you because you're leading other people. Let's see. Come back to the truth. This way you sum it up. Come back to the truth. You don't need anyone to tell you because I know you already know. Your brother.
Because you're doing it on purpose. Because they're telling you whatever sin you're committing, you're doing it on purpose to lead people astray. And Dave just found that quote. Thank you, Dave. Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. And not to say that you were doing anything stupid, but in their mind, you're doing something that they would consider stupid. And that's when they come to you with open communication and say, I think I'm missing something here because it seems like you're doing something stupid in my mind. Let me try and gain some clarity from you. Or they could go, whatever this is that you're doing it on purpose and you're doing it to lead people astray. That's attributing malice to your actions without even, and then closing down the conversation, and no more communication will be had. And block
me.
And
so here, let me just say, so I don't want people to think listening to this that I'm some sniveler, that I just, I'm so hurt and, I'm going to lose sleep over this. And I just want everyone to tell me how good the teachings are. And I want only positive feedback. Look, that's not it at all. That is not it. What I'm saying is I have plenty of people around me and I want this. I prefer this when somebody says, just to let you know, this is what I thought when I heard you say that. It offended me, or what? Let's talk. I mean, don't come out of the gate and just say you're wrong. God's going to judge you. You had bad intentions. You are evil. And there was more to this story that I just didn't even bring up. There is more that this person did. And so, but here's the thing. There are 2 other humans in the world, no, 4, that know this person's name. And that's all who will ever know. I'm not one who holds a grudge. I mean, I would just say, don't go out of your way. It's not just me. Here's a good lesson for you, for everyone. We have to be careful. The Jewish faith, Judaism, talks about lashon hara and certain assumptions that are made. And I think it behooves us not to be talebearers and to go around and try to ruin someone's reputation or take their livelihood. I mean, it really upsets me. But I don't mind getting feedback that, like I've had people write me and say, Ross, I don't like the fact that you wore a sports jacket on that. I like your hair longer. I like this. I don't like that. I don't like this version. I would rather if you did the classes this way. I don't like this camera angle. I prefer this one. I don't like this. I don't like your collar on your shirt. I've gotten all this kind of stuff.
Or the way you
But
say amphitheater instead of
that's right.
amphitheater.
Remember, I have mispronounced a few words in the so. But we also get some very different love letters too. We do get better love letters.
Oh,
I
yeah.
say better. I mean, I prefer, when people do allow us, even if it's constructive criticism, but they remain open to dialogue. We are going, Jono, into challenging material. Okay. If people want someone who is going to do what they've always heard and teach what they've always heard without challenging the faith of Christianity or Judaism, chances of them finding it with us, it's not that. I mean, it's not high. Would you agree?
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
We could do it, Ross. We could do it, and we'd be very rich if we did.
Yeah,
because we
that's
know what
right.
people want to hear. We absolutely know what people want to hear, the majority. And we could tickle those ears, and we would certainly make a lot of money out of doing that. But we're not interested in that because we're people of conviction, and we study, and we've come to some conclusions that are outside the norm of the institutions. And whilst we know it's going to upset people to highlight this, we can't unsee what we have seen, and we can't not talk about it. In fact, Jeremiah says something similar, doesn't he? What does he say? Something to that effect, where he basically says, "How can I not speak?
That's right.
How can I,
Yeah.
And I suppose most of the prophets felt this way.
Says
because
it's
they were
Jeremiah 20, where he says, there are times where I get up and he wants to not go forward with the message that he has. But what does he say? It's like a fire shut up in my bones.
Yeah.
And I can't withhold it. It's Jeremiah 20.
Yeah.
But the idea, I'm the same way. Like I had to make a decision when I lost my job in 2016. And about that time, it just so happens that I was beginning to see some of these things that are not so popular. Now, I had a decision to make, but it was no difficult decision for me. One decision is you tell the people what they want to hear, and you stroke their ego and their belief system, and you just say, yes, my dear brother and sister, let's all believe what we've been told to believe from centuries of rabbis and preachers and priests, or let's go to the text. For me, that was easy. And it a lot of people have walked away because they prefer this tickling of the ear. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do
Just
it.
reading Daniel's comment here. Searching produces facts that require assessment and analysis. Good point, Jono. We can't unsee what you have seen. No issue or topic is above questioning. Not one. Everything is fair game. Should be. That's quite right, Daniel. Totally agree with you, my friend. Yeah. And Dave agrees, by the way. Dave says you do need better collars.
Yeah. Now I'm going to be self-conscious. All right. So no ear tickling over here, Seth says. Look, here's the thing. Here's the thing. We're excited to do what we're doing. I want my main purpose in life is to share with people the as close as we can get to a proper understanding of a text and its context, and hopefully thereby leading people to what we would call truth as best we can tell what that truth is. And that's not going to make everyone happy. I've seen people go away, and I've seen people lose their faith, and I've seen all of these things.
Mm.
but I'm going to keep pushing forward. God willing, as long as I have breath, I'm going to push forward and I'm going to be as respectful as I can and I'm going to be as loving as I can. But let me tell you, Jono, love isn't always, you know, kind. I
Mm.
know the Apostle Paul talks about love is kind, love is this. It's a beautiful passage in Corinthians. But love can be, sometimes love is
Straight up.
tough, straight
Sometimes it's
up.
straight up, and that's that. I tell you though, I got to say, you bend over backwards to accommodate people and to sort of tuck them back into bed and make sure that they're okay. So it really does surprise me when you get letters like this. Me not so much. When I get letters like this, I'm like, "Pff, yeah, whatever. That was coming.
Yeah.
Because I guess I'm much more blunt. But you have a way to finesse your message, and you really, really do. But the thing is that, as you said, we cannot. Our goal is to present the truth to people, and the message that we're carrying at the moment is one that goes against the institutions, because we really, really do believe that the Moses Scroll is an authentic document and likely an accurate representation of the scroll of the Torah of Moses, the document upon which the entire Bible, the document that served as the platform for the entire Bible to spring from. So it is very important to us that we analyze it and that we present our findings and that we have time to research and study and offer to the people for free that which we have uncovered. And if it is that which we believe it to be, how can we not? How
Yeah.
can we not, Ross? You know.
Yeah.
So that's that. Now listen, it reminded
Look,
me.
let me hold on. Let me
Go
read
ahead.
this comment. I had it up. So Marlene says there. This is a cross the board problem in our day. If you don't agree with my view, because God knows that my view is the correct one on everything.
Mm,
And then she gives examples in our day: religion, politics, COVID,
mm.
vaccines. Then we can't be friends or family, and that's part of the problem. It's people
We live in a
they
very polarized world. Yeah.
we it is absolutely polarized on
Mm,
everything. And so what I'm saying is you don't have to agree with me. You really don't. But if you can come to the table and discuss these things, then I think that we're going to come to a better understanding of these issues. I
mm.
didn't mean to cut you off, but I had pulled that verse up. I wanted
No,
people to hear it.
I think we've exhausted that. I think this is good. I wanted to while we're here though, I want to come back. Dave's in the control room there, so I'm gonna throw something to Dave. Because you may, unless you know this off the top of your head, what is the origin of using the all-seeing eye in this sort of context? Because we do see it, like I said, on the dollar bill, on this particular rendition of the 10 words in architecture, on other documents and things like that. It's really interesting. I know that it's supposed to, my understanding, I don't really know. My understanding is that it is, as you pointed out, supposed to represent an all-seeing God, like a higher entity that is all-seeing. But
Yeah.
but it does find its origins, is my understanding, and I'm no expert. It does find its origins in Egyptian paganism, polytheistic, and this is one of the gods. Maybe it's the Eye of Horus or Isis or whatever it might be. A verse that, while I'm thinking about all of these things, a verse that popped into my head was, yeah, Dave says from the founders of the country. And what I'm wondering, Dave,
Well,
is why
they
did they choose that?
inherited. They
Yeah, they
inherited that.
inherited.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so how did that become a thing? I'm just wondering. This is not the verse I wanted. The Psalm 1, no, Psalm 14, verse 1. Hang on, let me see.
All right.
Yeah, a fool says in his heart, there is no God. I had a conversation, I remember, in the 365 series that I did with Rabbi Skoback, Michael Skoback there in Canada, Ontario, I think. And we were talking about this verse, and he said, you know what, it's not so clear what it says in that particular, I don't know if you got the Hebrew in front of you, but Psalm 14, verse 1. He said, it's not entirely clear. And really what it says, a fool says in his heart, God does not. And the implication really is that he does not see. A fool says in his heart, God does not see. And therefore he thinks that he can do something in secret. He feels like he can do things in secret and get away with it. And a fool says in his heart, I have no accountability. God does not, you know. Is that what it says? Have I
He
recalled
says,
that
a
correctly?
fool in his heart, there is no God. A fool says in his heart that there is no God. That's what it says.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
look there, but again, a lot of times the rabbis see things in the text that maybe a different slant on the same words, or but it clearly says. So the point here, what we would call the Pashat, which is what I like. What does it mean? Don't get me into the interpretation. What it means is that someone who says there is no God in their heart, that's a fool. That's the bottom line. And that particular passage is used in another psalm as well. I can't remember. I think it is. Let's see if I have it. I think it's Psalm 10 or Psalm 53, maybe both. Psalm 10:4. I wonder if that. Well, it's close. Psalm 10 is, the wicked in his haughtiness does not seek him. There is no God in his schemes. That's the verse there. But it must be Psalm 53:1, if I can get my Bible to cooperate. Yeah, Psalm 53:1 is exactly the same text. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God.
Right.
Right.
Well, in any case, it reminded me of that discussion, and I think to myself, maybe that is why uh, whoever's responsible for this sort of imagery in that sort of context, something like that, as to the reason why they would depict God as an eye like that, to remind everyone, hey, there is nothing that you can hide from him. He sees all. I'm not condoning it. I'm not condoning the imagery. In
There you
fact, God
go.
says, don't make any representations of me. The eye of providence, the all-seeing eye, is meant to represent divine providence, whereby the eye of God watches over humanity.
Yep.
Seth, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so
So
the eye
that's,
of God watches.
yeah, I was just
And
going to
so there's
say,
accountability. Here are the 10 words, and I'm watching you. That
yeah.
I guess that's the kind of idea behind it in this particular context. But yeah, to adapt pagan imagery and then and use it and say, well, here's a representation of the divine. Yeah, probably.
But I know that most people who would go to the extreme that my dear brother and friend went to,
Mm,
they do mean well. I remember meeting a girl years ago, and she made it a point to let me know as soon as I met her that she didn't have a driver's license, and she didn't have any pictures of herself. I wasn't asking from this person a picture, but they wanted me to
as to
know
not
that
make images.
because they didn't want to make images. And
Wow.
in this person's home, she said, we have nothing, no representation of no picture of a duck or a dog or of. Now, what is this person seriously? They want to do
Mm,
what they
as they
feel
understand it.
yeah, that's right.
Mm,
So again, sometimes I can see the intent, as well as we can see the intent of another human. It's pure. It's not that they're trying to be difficult or whatever,
mm.
but and in
This is a
fact,
genuine.
I think this person felt like with me, they had found someone that they trusted was going to give them the straight faith as clearly as possible,
Yeah.
and they were probably heartbroken that you and I
Don't see it
put
the same
this.
way.
That's right. and
Yeah.
and that we would put something as horrible as uh
This up on the
this
screen.
on the screen.
Now, look, I can understand it because I've held
Did you
positions.
say I did you say I can.
Because I have held fundamentalist positions like that very, very strongly, with an understanding that I thought was correct and enforced across the board, only to discover later you know, and in many cases, thanks to conversations that I've had with you, where we go, hey, there's a disconnection here. We don't quite agree. Let's at least clarify where each other are coming from. And then I've gone, oh, you know what? You're right. I don't think that anymore. You've talked me around. I can see your point of view. And Dave's saying, I've got pictures of my dogs and cats. What to do?
Yeah.
But this is the thing. So, and clearly with this particular commandment, it's saying, do not make such things for the purpose of worship. Don't make these things in order to bow down to them and serve them. That's the reason behind the prohibition against idolatry. Dave said, now I need a drink. Calm
Yeah.
down after seeing the eyes so many times.
Well, so
Very
here's the
rattling.
thing. I tell you, we really do appreciate all the love. Since this is a show about love, we do appreciate all the love that our friends and our viewers
really
give
do.
us. And we really honestly
We
do.
really appreciate the encouragements and many people write in and let us know, you know, things that they've learned and how it's helped them in their lives and all this sort of stuff. And that's just golden. We love that stuff.
And we don't mind when someone gives us something that doesn't. I don't need people to affirm. You know, they. In fact, I don't get a whole bunch of pats on the back. But so a person feels free. I think they should feel free to bring something with respect and friendliness. I mean, that's the way I do it. So please don't stop sending the love. I mean, we appreciate that, but just realize, always assume, not just with me or with Jono, but let's try this in our daily walk, our daily life. Let's assume that someone is not intending to be bad or evil. I mean, unless they're just an evil person like you see on the news. I'm talking about people we think are our friends. Let's at least start there. Let's at least start with hey, did you, Ross, this would have been a way to handle it. Ross, did you know that picture that you showed, it had at the top of it, it had an all-seeing eye? Did you know that? And then I would have went back and looked at it, and then I would have zoomed in and I would have said, oh my goodness, you know? And then I would have said, hey man, I'm sorry. But now I can assume that this person would demand that I take this video down too. But take the gloves off, relax, and maybe, I don't know, just have a wonderful
open
right.
communication, not necessarily to agree, but to at least understand each other. There's obviously a larger conversation we could have about, once again, the Ark of the Covenant and the snake on a pole. We're definitely going to be talking about those on the tour.
That's right.
And not right now. And that will be, you know, in Egypt and in on Mount Nebo in Jordan.
I guess we're pretty full, aren't we? I mean,
I'm telling you guys, we are locking things down now, and I think there might be some room left on Egypt, Jordan. You really got to get your deposits down this week because
I would think there would be a more of a possibility if they wanted to go with us that they might be able to get into the Israel tour. I don't know. I mean,
I'm telling you, there's still room, but seriously, you guys, we are locking things down. Like, we had a long conversation with our land operator, and we're going to be talking to our tour guide. We're really locking stuff down right now. And if you want to come with us, and of course you want to come with us, good heavens.
right.
But we are going to Egypt, we are going to Jordan, we're going to Israel. The first leg of the tour is Egypt, Jordan, starting on the 31st of October. And then on the 12th of November, we are crossing over to the second leg of the tour, which is Israel. You can do one, you can do the other, you can do both. And if you do both, you'll save $100 combination discount. The details are at Tanakh Tours, Tanakh, TanakhTours.com. And you can secure your place with us with a deposit. And we would love to see you in the land discussing some of these things in detail. And it's going to be incredible. Support this stream. Look at this. This is Ross's Patreon. All right. There's a QR code. Click on that or whatever it is you do. And Ross, how does it work?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I did set something up. We're going to try something different. It's
Go on.
not just paid levels now. There are tiers, obviously, from on the Patreon from $3 and up. But there's also a free. So if someone wants to sign up for the Patreon, they don't have to donate anything. Because what we're trying is we're going to try a few things on the Patreon because it puts everybody who's interested in the work in one place. So at least if people want to check it out, they can check it out. They don't have to commit to any money. But we're planning on putting some new stuff out, and it might be a good place to check it out. So
Good stuff.
Look,
There's that. Now, before we go, Saturday, what's going on? Isaiah.
Hey, man, Saturday, we are doing our Isaiah study. We are in class number 2. We did the introduction last week. This week is going to be class number 2 in the Isaiah series. I'm excited about it. This is the call of Isaiah. It's going to be biblical. There will be no graphic photos of an eyeball. None of that's going to be on the screen. Now, I was going to say there might be some 6-winged angelic type beings because we're going to talk about seraphim. What is a seraphim?
What's a seraphim? Yeah, this is it. I
man.
mean, there's a lot of some interesting imagery going on there. Nothing made, but visions thereof. So that's, well, you're going to find yourself in chapter 6. This will be interesting.
Well, let me just say thanks for the super chat, Constellation Pegasus. I am not an atheist. So thanks for your question. I am a believer, but I like to say I'm an informed believer. And I think that a lot of people, one of the things that I think people might be confused if they're new or if they just come in the door and they might not know me that well, I do think critically. So I do have a critical approach, but I'm also never, ever going to check at the door my integrity. And I believe that a lot of the things that I have friends, by the way, that are atheists, but I have friends that are Christians and Orthodox Jews. And so I like to say I'm an informed believer, basing my faith primarily from the Hebrew Bible, very particular towards this very ancient faith that I think has been obfuscated in many ways through modern forms of religion. But the answer is to go back into the text. So thank you very much. That super chat, by the way, is helpful. That's another way people can support us. So thank you very much, Constellation Pegasus. Look, we're gonna have to come back and do this some more, Jono. I tell you
we'll
what,
be back this time next week, my friends. We will be back this time, and we had no idea what we were going to talk about until a couple of days ago when we received these love letters. And so who knows what this week will bring, but it will be entertaining and enlightening, no doubt. So I'm looking forward to seeing you this time next week. And until then, have a good one.
Have a beautiful week. Hey, listen, Jono, let's tell them we love them.
I love you guys. Love you too, Ross.
I love you too, Jono. Hang on just a second. Let me go out with this. Let me put this up on the screen. Give them just a little bit of music. Let me
talk like this. Should I talk with my little voice?
Yeah, do some Barry Gibb with a little bit of no, not Barry Gibb. Who am I thinking about?
Barry White.
Barry White, that's it. Barry Gibb's like this.
All right,
hold on, wait. One more thing. Let me do this.
You beautiful people next week, this time. Don't you go changing.
Now do it, Jono.
Don't go bowing down to any idols. Don't worship those idols.
That's right.
Don't serve them. Don't want to be doing that.
Hold on. All right, we love you, people. Have a beautiful, beautiful night.